Good evening, dear listener. As the night deepens and the world outside quiets, allow me to guide you through a tale woven from the threads of ancient folklore and Victorian shadows. Imagine yourself on a solitary journey through mist-shrouded lands, where the air carries the faint scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. This is a story of a house that breathes with the weight of its own history, inspired by the Gothic legends of old Europe and America. Tales of cursed lineages and whispering spirits that linger in forgotten manors. Settle in, close your eyes, and let the subtle currents of mystery carry you toward slumber. It was during the whole of a dull, dark, and soundless day in the autumn of the year, when the clouds hung oppressively low in the heavens, that I found myself passing alone, on horseback, through a singularly dreary tract of country. The landscape stretched endlessly, barren and desolate, with twisted trees reaching like skeletal fingers toward the grey sky. The air was heavy with the musty aroma of fallen leaves and distant peat bogs, a scent that clung to my clothes and seeped into my thoughts. As the shades of evening drew on, I at length came within view of the melancholy House of Usher. I know not how it was, but with the first glimpse of the building, a sense of insufferable gloom pervaded my spirit. It was unrelieved by any half-pleasurable sentiment that often accompanies even the sternest images of desolation. I gazed upon the scene before me, the mere house, the simple landscape features of the domain, the bleak walls, the vacant eye-like windows, a few rank sedges swaying gently in the breeze, and the white trunks of decayed trees standing like silent sentinels. An utter depression of soul overcame me, comparable only to the after-dream of an opium reveller, that bitter lapse into everyday life, the hideous dropping off of the veil. There was an iciness, a sinking, a sickening of the heart, an unredeemed dreariness of thought which no goading of the imagination could elevate to the sublime. What was it, I paused to think, that so unnerved me in the contemplation of the House of Usher? It remained a mystery, insoluble. Shadowy fancies crowded upon me as I pondered. I concluded that certain combinations of simple natural objects possess the power to affect us deeply, though the analysis of this power lies beyond our depth. Perhaps, I reflected, a different arrangement of the scene's details might modify its sorrowful impression. Acting upon this idea, I reined my horse to the precipitous brink of a black and lurid tarn that lay in unruffled lustre by the dwelling. I gazed down, but with a shudder even more thrilling than before, upon the remodelled and inverted images of the grey sedge, the ghastly tree stems, and the vacant eye-like windows. The water's surface mirrored the house with an eerie perfection, amplifying the sense of foreboding that hung in the air like fog. Nevertheless, in this mansion of gloom, I proposed to myself a sojourn of some weeks. Its proprietor, Roderick Usher, had been one of my boon companions in boyhood, though many years had elapsed since our last meeting. A letter from him had reached me in a distant part of the country, a missive, wild and importunate, admitting no reply but a personal one. The writing bore evidence of nervous agitation. He spoke of acute bodily illness, a mental disorder oppressing him, and an earnest desire to see me, his best and only personal friend, for alleviation through my cheerful society. The heartfelt manner of his request left no room for hesitation, and I obeyed what I considered a singular summons. Although intimate as boys, I knew little of my friend beyond his excessive reserve. His ancient family was noted for a peculiar sensibility of temperament, displayed in exalted art, munificent charity, and a passionate devotion to musical science. Remarkably, the Usher race had never branched. The entire family lay in direct descent, merging the estate's title into the House of Usher, encompassing both family and mansion in the peasants' minds. My experiment of gazing into the tarn had only deepened the impression. Consciousness of increasing superstition accelerated it further, per the paradoxical law of sentiments based on terror. Thus, uplifting my eyes to the house from its pool image, a strange fancy grew that an atmosphere peculiar to the mansion and domain hung about them, reeked from decayed trees, grey walls, and silent tarn. A pestilent, mystic vapour, dull, sluggish, faintly discernible, leaden-hued. Shaking off what must have been a dream, I scanned the building's real aspect. Its principal feature was excessive antiquity with great discoloration from ages. Minute fungi overspread the exterior, hanging like fine tangled webwork from the eaves. Yet no extraordinary dilapidation. The masonry held, though individual stones crumbled, a wild inconsistency reminiscent of rotted woodwork in a neglected vault. The eye might discover a barely perceptible fissure zigzagging from roof to tarn. Noticing this, I rode over a short causeway. A servant took my horse, and I entered the Gothic archway of the hall. A valet of stealthy step conducted me silently through dark, intricate passages to his master's studio. The way heightened vague sentiments. Carvings on ceilings, sombre tapestries, ebon floors, rattling armorial trophies, all familiar yet stirring, unfamiliar fancies. On a staircase I met the family physician, his face mingling low cunning and perplexity. He accosted me with trepidation and passed. The valet opened the door, ushering me into the presence of his master. The room was large and lofty, with long, narrow, pointed windows distant from the black oaken floor, inaccessible from within. Feeble, encrimsoned light filtered through trellised panes, rendering prominent objects distinct, but leaving remoter angles and vaulted ceiling in shadow. Dark draperies hung on walls. Furniture was profuse, comfortless, antique, tattered. Books and musical instruments scattered about failed to vitalize the scene. An air of stern, deep, irredeemable gloom pervaded all, with the faint scent of aged paper and dust lingering in the still air. Upon entrance, Usher arose from a sofa, greeting me with vivacious warmth that seemed overdone at first, but his countenance convinced me of sincerity. We sat. He spoke not, and I gazed with pity and awe. Man had never altered so terribly in brief period as Roderick Usher. With difficulty I admitted the wan being's identity with my boyhood companion. His face, cadaverous complexion, large, liquid, luminous eyes, thin, pallid lips of beautiful curve, delicate Hebrew nose with broad nostrils, finely moulded chin lacking prominence, web-like soft hair, inordinate temple expansion, all exaggerated now, with ghastly pallor, miraculous eye luster, wild gossamer hair floating about the face, defying connection to simple humanity. His manner struck me with incoherence, arising from struggles against habitual trepidancy and excessive nervous agitation. Prepared by his letter and boyish traits, I noted his action alternating vivacious and sullen, voice from tremulous indecision to energetic concision, like a drunkard or opium eater in excitement. Thus he spoke of my visit's object, his desire for solace. He described his malady as constitutional and familial. A nervous affection soon to pass, displaying unnatural sensations. Some interested me. Morbid acuteness of senses, enduring only insipid food, certain textured garments, oppressive flower odors, tortured by faint light, horrified by sounds except from stringed instruments. He was enslaved to an anomalous terror. I shall perish, he said, in this deplorable folly. I dread future events not in themselves, but their results. In this pitiable condition, I must abandon life and reason in struggle with the grim phantasm, fear. Through hints, I learned of superstitious impressions regarding the dwelling, from which he never ventured, an influence from its form and substance over his spirit, the grey walls and dim tarn affecting his morale. He admitted much gloom traced to his sister's severe illness, the tenderly beloved Madeline, his sole companion, last relative. Her decease would leave him the last usher. As he spoke, she passed slowly through the apartment's remote portion, unnoticed by her, disappearing. I regarded her with astonishment and dread, a stupor oppressing me as my eyes followed her. When the door closed, I sought his countenance. He buried his face in hands, a far more than ordinary wanness overspread, passionate tears trickling through emaciated fingers. Her disease baffled physicians, settled apathy, gradual wasting, transient, cataleptical affections. She bore up steadily until the evening of my arrival, succumbing to the destroyer. That glimpse was likely my last of her living. For days, her name unmentioned, I endeavoured to alleviate his melancholy. We painted, read. I listened to his guitar improvisations. Closer intimacy revealed futility in cheering his mind, from which darkness poured unceasingly. I remember solemn hours spent with him. His studies and occupations defied exact conveyance. An excited ideality threw sulphureous lustre over all. His improvised dirges ring in memory, a perversion of von Weber's Last Waltz. His paintings grew into vaguenesses, shuddering me thrillingly, their simplicity arresting attention. Roderick painted ideas. His abstractions evoked intolerable awe beyond Fuseli's reveries. One conception, a long, rectangular vault, low, smooth, white walls, deep below earth. No outlet, no light source, yet flooded with intense rays, bathing in ghastly splendor. The faint echo of dripping water might be imagined in such a place, adding to the oppressive silence. His auditory morbidity rendered music intolerable, except stringed effects, birthing fantastic guitar performances from intense concentration. One rhapsody impressed me, revealing consciousness of his reason tottering. The Haunted Palace. In the greenest of our valleys, by good angels tenanted, once a fair and stately palace, radiant palace, reared its head. In the monarch thought's dominion, it stood there. Never seraph spread a pinion over fabric half so fair, banners yellow, glorious, golden, on its roof did float and flow. This, all this, was in the olden time, long ago, and every gentle air that dallied in that sweet day along the ramparts, plumed and pallid, a winged odour went away. Wanderers in that happy valley through two luminous windows saw spirits moving musically to a lute's well-tuned law, round about a throne, where sitting Porphyrogene, in state his glory well befitting, the ruler of the realm, was seen. All with pearl and ruby glowing was the fair palace door, through which came flowing, 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 and sparkling evermore a troop of echoes, whose sweet duty was but to sing, in voices of surpassing beauty, the wit and wisdom of their king. But evil things in robes of sorrow assailed the monarch's high estate. Ah, let us mourn, for never morrow shall dawn upon him desolate. And round about his home the glory that blushed and bloomed is but a dim remembered story of the old time entombed. And travellers now within that valley, through the red litten windows, see vast forms that move fantastically to a discordant melody, while, like a rapid ghastly river, through the pale door a hideous throng rush out forever and laugh, but smile no more. Suggestions from this ballad led to thoughts of sentience in vegetable things, extended daringly to inorganization. Connected to his home's stones, fungi, decayed trees, their arrangement enduring, reduplicated in the tarn. Evidence: condensation of peculiar atmosphere, moulding family destinies. Our books match this phantasm. Gresset, Machiavelli, Swedenborg, Holberg, Flood, Tieck, Campanella, Aymeric de Giron, Pomponius Mela. Usher dreamed over these for hours, thinking of the Vigiliae in. Mortuorum's ritual influenced him when he informed me the Lady Madeline was no more, intending to preserve her corpse a fortnight in a vault before interment, due to Malady's character, medical inquiries, remote burial ground. Recalling the physician's sinister face, I did not oppose. I aided in temporary entombment. The vault, small, damp, lightless, deep beneath my sleeping apartment. Once a donjon, later for powder, sheathed in copper. Massive iron door grated sharply on hinges. Depositing the coffin on trestles, we turned aside the lid. Striking similitude between siblings. They were twins with scarce intelligible sympathies. Disease left faint blush, lingering smile terrible in death. We screwed the lid, secured the door, returned to upper apartments. Days of grief elapsed, change in his disorder, ordinary manner vanished, occupations neglected, roaming hurriedly. Pallor ghastlier, eye luminousness gone, voice tremulous with terror. He seemed labouring with secret, or gazing, listening to imaginary sound. His superstitions infected me slowly. On the 7th or 8th night after entombment, retiring late, sleep eluded me amid waning hours. I reasoned off nervousness from gloomy furniture, dark draperies swaying in rising tempest, rustling uneasily. Efforts fruitless, tremor pervaded, incubus of alarm sat upon my heart. Shaking it off, I uplifted on pillows, peering into darkness, hearkening to low, indefinite sounds through storm pauses. Overpowered by horror, I dressed hastily, paced to arouse myself. A light step on staircase arrested me. Usher's. He rapped gently, entered with lamp. Countenance wan, eyes with mad hilarity, restrained hysteria, his air appalled, but preferable to solitude. "You have not seen it," he said, staring silently, "but stay. You shall." Shading lamp, he opened a casement to the storm. Impetuous gust nearly lifted us. Tempestuous night, singular in terror and beauty. Whirlwind collected nearby. Wind directions altered violently. Dense clouds pressed turrets. No moon, stars, lightning, but under surfaces glowed in unnatural gaseous exhalation, enshrouding the mansion, carrying a faint, acrid scent of decay from the tarn. "You must not behold this," I said, leading him from window. "These are electrical phenomena, or from tarn miasma. Close the casement, air is chilling. Here is your favourite romance. I will read. You listen, passing this night together." The volume was Mad Tryst by Sir Launcelot Canning, chosen in jest, its prolixity unlikely to interest him, yet hoping folly's extremeness relieve excitement. At Ethelred, seeking admission to hermit's dwelling, proceeding by force, uplifting mace, cracking plankings, noise reverberating. I started, pausing. Seemed from remote mansion came stifled echo of cracking sound. Coincidence amid storm noises. Continued. Ethelred entering, finding dragon instead of hermit, striking it, shriek horrid. Paused in amazement. Heard distant harsh screaming, counterpart of dragon's shriek. Oppressed by conflicting sensations, I retained composure to avoid exciting him, uncertain if he noticed. Demeanour altered, chair turned to door, head dropped, eyes wide rigid, body rocking gently. Resumed. Champion approaching shield, which fell with mighty ringing, aware of distinct metallic reverberation, muffled. Unnerved, I leapt, Usher's rocking undisturbed. Rushing to him, hand on shoulder, shudder over him, sickly smile, low gibbering murmur. Bending, I heard, "Not hear it." Yes, I hear it, have heard it long. I heard her movements in coffin days ago, dared not speak. Now Ethelred's breaking door, dragon's cry, shield's clangor, rather rending coffin, grating hinges, struggles in vault. Oh, whither fly? She hurries to upbraid. Heard her footstep? Distinguish her heart's beating? Madman, she stands without the door. As if his utterance spelled, panels threw back, work of gust. But there stood enshrouded Madeline, evidence of struggle upon her frame, trembling on threshold, then with moaning cry fell upon brother, bearing him to floor a corpse in her final agonies. From chamber and mansion I fled. Storm raged as I crossed causeway. Wild light shot, turned, radiance of blood-red moon through widened fissure. Brain reeled as walls rushed asunder, tumultuous shouting like thousand waters. Tarn closed sullenly over fragments. And so ends our tale of the House of Usher, a reminder of how the past's shadows can consume the present. If these whispers of folklore and mystery have lulled you toward dreams, subscribe for more such narratives to accompany your nights. Until next time, sleep well in the embrace of the dark.